Peace, everyone. Welcome to the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministry. Thank you for joining us for another Friday night Bible studies. And my name is Kwame, and I'm from the UK branch of the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministry. Today, we've got a really special lesson for you guys, and I'm really pumped up and excited about today's subject matter, and I'm really looking forward to it. Before we get into that, let me just introduce you to our panelists. We have Safia and we have Priest Ricardo. How you doing, guys? Peace. Thank you guys for joining us for another Friday night Bible studies. How you doing, guys?
Good.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, really excited about this lesson. Ready to go. Yeah, super pumped about it. Thank you for having me.
Excellent. That's what I like to hear. So before we get into this lesson, guys, please don't forget to smash the like button. Please share this video with your friends and family and help support our channel by subscribing and helping us spread the word to as many people as possible. We really appreciate your support. So today's lesson is a lesson that's really trending at the moment. It's a lesson that's on the news. It's on our TVs. Everyone is talking about it. It's on social media, and it's a celebration. It's something that's celebrated every single year all around the world, and especially around the UK. It's celebrated around the last month of August. And I know a lot of you probably know what I'm talking about. Today's subject lesson that we're talking about today is Carnival, right? What is the meaning of Carnival? Who celebrates Carnival? Why do they celebrate? Why do they celebrate Carnival? And what's the spiritual aspect of Carnival? Is what we're going to really talk about today. We're going to go into the scriptures. We're going to read and break down the scriptures and what the scriptures actually talk about these kind of celebrations. And we're going to break it down for you guys. Okay. So like I said, we're really excited about today's lesson. So I'm going to kind of get everyone's sort of views on what Carnival means to them. Because like for me, growing up in the UK, as a young man, Carnival was a way of life. You know, Carnival was something that we all look forward to. It was something that we all did every single year without not really understanding the fundamental meaning of what Carnival really meant. It was just us going out, having a great time, you know, with your friends and your family. And I know a lot of you out there have the same way of thinking. You know, Carnival's just a way of having fun. But I just believe that it's important for all of us to really understand the meaning of Carnival, you know, especially the spiritual aspect of it. That's something we're really going to get into today. So, you know, stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. Guys, I'm going to start off with you, Safia. What is your, what does Carnival mean to you, first and foremost? Let's start off with that.
So, as somebody who was raised in Barbados, Carnival, so I like what you said there, Kwame, about Carnival being a way of life. Carnival has always been this cornucopia of excitement and revelry and all of these connotations like freedom, emancipation, the celebration of liberation and expression and cultural expression. But then on the other hand, and many West Indians do understand what all of the other spiritual entities. There are also these things that are very demonic. There are, there's crude things. There's so many bad things as well. So for me, I would say that it is a place of limbo. Like it's literally a place of purgatory. You're neither here nor you're there. One group of people who want to celebrate their culture and want to who want to celebrate emancipation. So we'll go into like the different understandings about what carnival might mean to different groups of people. But then you've also got the side of carnival, which is probably the one you see the most, which is unfortunately has a really sad and dark story to it. So a cornucopia of contradiction, I would describe carnival as. There we go.
Okay, so I'm going to come to you, Chris Ricardo. Yeah, what's your take on carnival, man? What does carnival mean to you?
Well, as growing up, as you said, Kwame, is that carnival was, to me, just the time to have fun. You just go to carnival, you dress up, you buy your fancy clothes and go there and have fun, lots of fun, and listen to the music. You go eat food and you go drink and you go party, basically. That's a carnival. I mean, to me, there was absolutely no meaning. But now we get to understand there was a real big meaning, and now you get to understand and thinking, wow, all these things was happening because of what? And this is what we're gonna go and explain, right?
Right. Excellent. Exactly. So we're first gonna go off to, we're gonna explain the history first and foremost. I think it's important before we get into this discussion to really kind of allow people to understand how carnival came about, because I feel that a lot of people don't really understand the meaning of what carnival is. You know, I know that over the years it's kind of evolved to different meaning to a lot of people, but you know, it's important for us to know how carnival first started. So producer, can you show us the first slide? So carnival was first introduced as a pagan festival in ancient Egypt to usher out winter and celebrate the beginning of spring. It was called Sham al-Nazim. At the time, winter was thought of as a reign of winter spirits. These needed to be driven out in order for the summer to return. Carnival was regarded as the first spring festival of the new year. Next slide, producer. So many centuries later, after Alexander the Great had conquered Egypt, the ancient Greek adopted the festival. The Romans copied the festival from the Greeks and called it Bacchanal, after the god Bacchus, and celebrated it with plenty of wine, dancing, song, and generally excessive behavior. Next, producer.
So I think, guys, you can see so many similarities with the Notting Hill Carnival. So the excessiveness, the crudeness, the lewdness, you know, everything is in excess. Everything is just, you know, taking things to the extreme. So when you go to Notting Hill Carnival, and some of you who will be in Canada, Caribana, I'm sure you'll see all a manner of things, and everything is deemed okay on this one day, which is and you know, so why this one day? And you know, so you know that it's not something you wouldn't go to the supermarket and start behaving like that, right? So right, so yeah, literally.
As it was mentioned, as Kwame was talking about that, you know, the excessive eating and the drinking, and then about the release of the spirits, and that takes a big part in carnival, which you can see today. Like, these pictures are very, very old, but then when you look at it in the now modern times, they look very similar, right? They look very similar. Look how they dressed. They look very similar. They look like to the times in Egypt how they was looking. You know what I mean?
Right,
They was doing
exactly.
just the same way. They was doing the same thing. It's just the modern times, as it says in the scripture. There's nothing new under the sun. It's just different times. Like there was on, donkeys and horses and stuff, but now we're in cars and planes. And I mean, it's like, but you're gonna still travel, So it's just a different time, but it's the same movement. Those spirits been around for years, So it's just crazy how these things are. Is it no different?
Yeah. I mean, another thing to state is that Carnival, first and foremost, Carnival is a religious celebration, right? That's the first thing that a lot of people don't attach to that meaning of Carnival, because there's a lot of people that I know that will say that they're not religious, but they go Carnival. And there's a lot of people that are religious and do go Carnival. But the point is that Carnival is a religious celebration. It's a worldly celebration that the whole world celebrates every single year, right? And when you look at like what you were saying, you said something very important, Priest Ricardo, about the elements. I mean, many people may say that, okay, the meaning of it has evolved or changed, but the elements are still the same, right? You have the celebration. They have excessive drinking of drink. There's violence of there's sexual activities going on. There's obviously it's normally happens on a public holiday, which means it's very, very important to them, because it's almost like they're encouraging everyone to be part of it, right? By putting it on a public holiday so that everybody can be participating.
Everyone could be there, exactly. But you also, what you said about the religion aspect, there's only one religion. I just want to put that there's only one religion. And, so whether they're looking at a religion and they want to commit to that and making those sacrifice and paying homage to whatever they're doing, then good luck. But there's only one religion, but we'll get into that.
That's so, I mean, I think Carnival has, I think for me, the question that really always have to be asked is that when we talk about Carnival or we explain about Carnival, people always think about the physical element of Carnival, right? But what's going on the spiritual side of things, right? Because there's a lot that we can see, right? You could see people dressed up in costumes. You could see people dancing prerogatively. You could see people drunk, people behave violently. But what's feeding all of that spiritually? What's going on? You see what I'm saying? What's happening there? That's the question I believe that a lot of people really don't ask that, aspect of things. People are not really understanding the spiritual element. What's going on spiritually? Do you know what I mean?
It's because, like you see when you look at those things as well, like it's just like it's in the air. If you look at the whole movement of what happens there, and this is really deep rooted stuff. Like when you look at the carnival, and you don't even know that you've been taking part, as you're just talking about, Kwame, talking about how they're keeping up their so-called religion, right? And they're saying about, they're keeping it, and they join into it, and they say, they're not, but no, we don't really take part in that. I understand what you're saying, I just want to put it at that there's only one religion, but as they see it as being religious or partaking, and some people say they don't partake in it, it's like they'll say they don't partake in Christmas, but they'll go sit at the table and eat the food what's been prepared for that time, which is the same thing with the carnival. It's like it's been prepared, it's all been there. It's not just on the day they turn up on the time of the carnival and go to the street party. No, it's weeks of planning, and they pull it all together, and they do all these things and pre-party, carnival movement. So it's all the practice, and they're coming together. So it's all been put together. It's a big season for them, you know what I mean? So it's not just fall into place to get ready and go. Now people's planning for months. And for this year over here in England, the UK, that they ain't had carnival since the pandemic thing. This is since what the last one was it 2019?
Yes,
2019,
yes.
right? Because in 2020 they have it 2021. So this is the first time. So it was, it would have been chaos. You know, it would have been absolute madness. Them spirits was raging out there, you know, and people's going there. They don't even know what they're doing. It's almost they're in a trance, just going that way to just follow, and they're just caught up with it in the service.
Yeah. 100%. So Safia, what's your take on this? Yeah.
Okay, so basically, at the Notting Hill Carnival, so in 2017, I could actually count at least 670 gods that were. So I know Bacchus would have been the would have been the original. Okay, so going all the way back to whenever, but now because Notting Hill Carnival is an amalgamation of Caribbean cultures that are basically part of the entire body of the carnival. You have Trinidad, so you have Trinidad, the festival known as Break Day, the Juve celebrations. You have Trinidad involved, you have Grenada, Guyana, Barbados, and they all have their own. This is something that people don't know. Every single island, every single South American country has their own unique version, but of course they are all under the same umbrella. Caribana, for their last celebration, I could count at least 1,065. I had to make sure I got that right. No, I am not going to name them. The only God's name we should be talking about naming is the God of Israel, but those gods were present. They were being celebrated. And as many times as people might say, well, like you were saying, well, I'm not religious, I'm just here to have fun. The movements, so the dancing in itself, there are certain movements that have been passed down over time that are going to be a form of communication for these spirits. We also have the eating. So even eating meat, there's Bacchus, the god of Bacchus, and all of these other gods. I'm not even going to name them. This is how deep it is. I think it's too dangerous to even name some of these gods from the West Indies. I'm not going to do that. So even the god of war, there's a way of eating meat just to please this god. So the eating of meat. So what Priest Ricardo was saying about how you start these celebrations, there's libations that are poured. So pouring rum onto the ground, and worshipping ancestral worship. There's the eating of meat in a particular way. So in Passover, how we will eat the lamb, there's no breaking of the bones. Oh, there's sucking of bones here. There's sucking of bones. There's even the eating of the meat. It's like sucking the fingers. There's even a ritual for that. So everything. There's a culture. We have a culture in Israel, and then we have all of these other cultures as well. So think of it as the cultures of opposites. Yeah.
I think. Yeah, go on. You were going to say something, right?
There's where Safi was putting in his test, and it's very well put, really, with what they're talking about, because over here it didn't fall in line with all what they was doing back over there. So it's been brought in the UK in the 1958, where they took it to St Pancras Hall, right? They first were celebrating there, and then they took it to Notting Hill Carnival, the first street party there in 1966. So they gathered them together because what they was doing to the black people, and they was killing them off, and so they came and brought them together. So they thought that to bring it to the Caribbean, people would unite together in that place there. So it was to form that. It wasn't really what they was doing back in Trinidad and those things like that, but it was the same pretty much meaning. They still brought around all the costumes and still got the customs of it. So it is the same thing, but it didn't really had no meaning over here. But to bring the Caribbean, as they say, together, so they could unite, so they could fight as one and be together, and then they start bringing the still pans and everything, but really they was doing that back in 1958, as was stated, that, and they you know, they're playing the drums, and it's to bring everyone to, you know, to draw people in, and it was mainly the still bands and stuff like that. So that's where it all started off, and then people started journeying and people started contributing to it, and then now one of the biggest street parties in the world, you know, and that's here in the UK. So it was that's the history of it. It was just to gather the black people together, you know, as we know today, the Jacobites, right? So we now coming together to form that oneness, as I say. But then there was other meanings when they did come together and what they're doing, and it's a very smart way when you look at it. It's like, yeah, oh man, like anyway, we'll get into that stuff, but like when you really check it, it's so deep of what we supposed to do and who we supposed to serve. As Safi said, there's many gods out there, but why give them that right? They're already, a lot of people's already doing that and calling their names. We're only going to call upon the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. But that's who we always should be calling upon. But these things have been put together in a very smart way, so these other gods can be served and praised and make sacrifices, and all manner of things happens, but it's all to pay homage to these gods.
Right.
You're so right, Priest Ricardo. You said what you said there, because at the end of the day, like, I think for me, for what you're saying is that in terms of how they make it so accessible for you to celebrate these celebrations, you know, it's almost like you're encouraged, you know, to go there and take part and participate. It's almost like it's temptation to resist this, you know, because everyone is doing it. Your family, your friends, everyone is at Carnival. That's all they talk about. When the build up to Carnival, you will see posters, you will see TV adverts, you will see, you know, everyone is talking about it. It's trending on social media. Everyone is, you know, there's even pre-parties before the Carnival. You see what I'm saying? Just to get people ready so that people know that Carnival is coming up.
To get them into the spirit, to liven up the spirit, you know, to get the spirit.
And then it's like it's just leading you up to that specific that one day, you know, where everyone comes together and everyone is having fun and everyone is, you know, drinking and eating and everyone's like, you know, but the point here is that that's all fun, but people are not looking at people have forgotten the real meaning of it, because the fun element is emphasized. So everyone's like, okay, oh, a street party, I want to be part of that. They're not really thinking, like, they're not even interested in what this really means. You understand what I'm saying? To them, it's more about going out and having a good time. But there's a meaning to all of it, right? So yeah, you made a really good point there. Producer, we're gonna go into we just want to show like the origins of Carnival, because the Carnival evolved like over the years, because I know, Priest Ricardo, you mentioned a bit about it, and you're talking about Notting Hill Carnival, how it evolved. Obviously there was a different meaning to it. Over the years there's been different meaning or understanding to it, but the same elements that make Carnival is still the same from the beginning in regards to what people do in terms of, you know, people are highly intoxicated, you know, there's sexual activities going on, there's, you know, there's a ritual going on, you know, there's fighting, there's violence, you know, there's people all dressed up in costume. All those elements of things that make up that Carnival is still there from the beginning. It still happens now. You see what I'm saying? So, producer, can you show the first video, please? We're gonna go and just show you a video of what how carnivals evolve over the years.
Okay, so you're going to see, so for those of you watching, you've just seen like Jab Jab Devils, you're seeing all of these costume figures. So Sometimes they were creations. So there's a whole culture around creating these costumes, and some of them come from pure imagination. Some of them really do. Like there were these celebrations across the Caribbean where people take pride in the colors and the flamboyance of the costumes. However, some of them are directly related to other cultural spiritualities, let's say. So sometimes you'll see costumes that are based on Egypt, that are based on Aztec gods, that are based on this, that are based on that. So it's again, so remember I said at the beginning about how you have kind of this cornucopia of confusion, right? So sometimes, so you would have seen, so at the very beginning there was like this snippet of what was called a jab devil or jambalasi character, and this character in Grenada was actually used to scare away slave masters, right? So we literally have a character that was used to celebrate to scare away slave masters, and then that character was taken on to be revered, right? So then all of a sudden it turns into worship. So again, it's such a sad thing when you have a people who are using these methods to celebrate freedom, and then it turns into something quite demonic, right? So yeah, let's continue.
Excellent.
Okay, so we have a European party. I believe this is before Lent, yes? Okay, we don't have any sound at the moment, but if guys,
I apologize for this. The sound is.
I could try and be your narrator. Oh, we're getting to the historical. Okay, pause, narrator, pause. This is like one of the most important things. You're gonna have to roll right back a little bit. There we go. All right, pause. All right, start again. Okay, everybody, we've got a treat for you. I'm going to attempt to narrate. All right. Play. Let's see if I can. I've never seen this video before. I'm gonna try my absolute best for Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries. Okay, so pause. Thank you. So you would have just seen a scrolling of like opera, like an operatic stage. So these are basically the Europeans who are celebrating Lent, or before Lent. Kwame, would you like to talk to us a little bit about that, about how they used to do all manner of things before celebrating what they thought was a good idea?
Okay, thank you, Safia. So Carnival. So Carnival is a festive held in many predominantly Roman Catholic countries in days leading up to Lent, right? In contrast to Lent season, 40 days, they focus on fasting and self-denial. So basically, Carnival is a time of excess and self-indulging, right? So you're basically allowed to eat whatever you want to eat, right? And be merry, right? And then basically, when Lent comes, they basically fast and hold back on everything for 40 days, right?
For 40 days.
40 days.
Yeah.
Right. So, and I find it kind of a bit strange because it's almost like saying do whatever you want, and then now you're gonna be strict and hold yourself back from, like, temptation. Just so I'm gonna self-indulge myself, eat what I want, do what I want, and now I'm gonna just 40 days. I'm not going to do any of that. You see what I'm saying? And this was part of the ritual of what they did in Carnival, for Carnival, yeah. So, as you know, the most famous Carnival is the one that's held in Brazil, which is held like every single year. Also, carnivals are held in places like Italy, Venice, Uruguay, Spain, all predominantly European countries that celebrate, obviously, Christians that, practice Christian, even in America as well. So these are all celebrations. These are all part of the rituals of Carnival that's been done throughout the world.
Also, what's funny as well, because the woman who brought the carnival over to the UK is Claudia Jones, right? And you're just thinking out, what? I wonder what she was. I know she said that, about uniting the Caribbean people together, but then when you see all of that, I mean, you're thinking, did she really know? Was it a smart move? Because even though you put it as, and that's those slides what you show what they was doing there, and you say it's a big, even Christian music in the European, yeah, like all over where they're keeping it. Like over here was just for the Caribbean people, and it's mainly the black people uniting together, just so they could stand up for each other, and you could imagine what was going on over here. Even the time I was going, I'm going to see that, a lot of racism was happening, right? But look at now the carnival. They ain't just black people. There's a whole mix. Like even the food is different now. We had all the Caribbean food and different tastes and different things. It's like we got European stuff now. It's totally mixed now. So everyone's mixing in. Everyone's getting that spirit. So it's just gone a complete different angle. So where people would be attending, they're not looking at it as carnival. Some people don't even bother with the costume stuff and follow the floats and stuff. Some people just go there because, oh wow, it's a big street party, But the spirit is still there, Them gods are still there to be worshipped, and they just fall into place.
Absolutely. Like, it's funny you said, you mentioned Claudia Jones, because, all right, you're gonna laugh. You're both gonna laugh at this, because Claudia Jones, she once said, I'm gonna remember this quote, and I know people are gonna catch me up on it, but she once said the people's art, and check it, is the genesis of their freedom. That was her number one quote before that was her number one quote before she started Carnival. So when you say, like, did she know what she was doing? She was like, these are people like, we know Jacobites, like, we know, people know. I personally believe people know about the spiritual element. She said people's art is the genesis of their freedom. Like you don't just drop Genesis in there like that. You don't just, okay, I know I'm new, but I'm gonna do a little scripture for you guys as well. I know I'm new, but I'm gonna try it. But anyhow, can we go back to that video?
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, can we go back to that video? That's because we're gonna go right into, did you know, I'm following on from what Priest Ricardo said. I'm gonna attempt once again to be some kind of narrator. There we go. It's probably better than a man's voice. So you know what? Good. It was meant to happen. It was meant to happen. Yes, play, please, producer. Thank you. Okay, so, and pause. So here we have, thank you. So I'm going to keep saying play and pause, play and pause. I'm going to make the producer work today. Basically, we have a scene of the enslaved people. I'm not actually sure which island this is, but of course, this is in the West Indies. So across the West Indies, we have enslaved people trying to have some fun. So okay, so every now and again, every once in a while, so you might have the end of crop. So in Barbados, you have crop over, which is the end of the harvest celebration, and at this time, there would be a celebration for the enslaved to have a day of rest. So we know that the enslaved will work 24/7. We know from our elders' teachings, and of course the history meets prophecy show, we understand that how devastating and brutal the slave trade was. If you do not know how devastating and brutal the slave trade was, please go through some videos of the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries to find out. Please read your history books, because you should by now know how devastating. We don't need to do a history lesson on that today. So when there was a day off, the enslaved would come together and there would be an annual celebration for each of the different islands. Also, sometimes these carnivals started out of emancipation, so out of rebellion. So when we say things like, so when Claudia Jones said people's art is the genesis of their freedom, it's also literally about liberation in itself. So the carnival, so remember I said at the very beginning, some people carry out carnival because they do want to feel togetherness. They want to feel a sense of togetherness with their kin. But at the same time, we then have all of these other gods, and this is the problem. So what do we do? What do we do when we have, and where else do we find contradiction? Oh, that's right, other churches. There we go. So it's literally, so this goes to Kwame's point, right? When you were talking about the spirituality in the church, right? So how it's a religion. Oh, yeah.
Come see us. Come see the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministry.
Sure.
We will teach you the truth. We will teach you, about the true and living God, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, right? So, guys, as we've, obviously spoken in the slide, many people believe the carnival has changed over the years, right? So they believe that the meaning of it doesn't really matter. What do you guys say about that? Because there's people out there that believe that what carnival meant and what it means now is completely different now, because like you said, it's evolved, right? It's evolved. There's been things that have been added and taken from it when the Europeans got hold of it. And then obviously when the Jacobites got hold of it, they put elements of it, like with drums, etc., and added bits of different elements to it as well. So what do you guys feel about that? Let's start off with you, Safia. What do you feel about people saying about how the meaning of it doesn't matter now because, it's something completely different now?
I think so. You know what's funny? I think the meaning does still matter, because if anyone was to be disrespectful to Carnival, if anyone was to say anything rude about Carnival and to say, "Oh, you can't celebrate it," people will cling on to it and say it's important to them. People will hold on to Carnival for dear life. And actually, I'm gonna call myself out here, and because I know that there are people watching who are saying, Safia, you hypocrite, how dare you badmouth Carnival and talk about it. But actually, no, coming from Barbados, I come from 5 generations of cane cutters. I come from 5 generations of people of cane cutters, and before that, well, I can't tell you. I can't go back that far. But what I can say is that coming from enslaved people, Carnival was important because we were celebrating the emancipation of our people. But then there was this moment where in the middle of Carnival, there was this one time. I have so many stories, but here's one where I was just looking around me and I felt like I can't do this anymore, because I'm being pulled one way and I'm being pulled the other. So on the one hand, I'm being taught in Barbados to pray to the east, and then I see this character come up behind me who's dressed like a devil, and I'm thinking, this doesn't work. It's not working. So it does has the meaning changed over time? No, there are several hundred things going on through your head, but most importantly, you cannot, and this is to say to everybody, if you have not yet joined the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries, you're going to see that the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries is about, the truth, and we don't have contradictions here. But you cannot say that you're celebrating the emancipation of your kin and also be carrying out all manner of things at the same time. You can't say that you are worshiping the true and living God when there's a devil dancing next to you. Tell me how that makes sense. Tell me how. If anyone can tell me how that makes sense, I will give you my, like, I don't even know what. Just ask me, because I'm so sure how that won't make any sense. It doesn't. It's contradictory.
Yes.
So
yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%. You made a great point there. So, Priest Ricardo, what's your take on that?
I think Priest Ricardo has. He's coming back in. He should be coming back in. We think he should be coming back in.
Okay, so yeah, go on. I think you made a point that, you know, on one side of the coin, there's people who kind of feel liberated, like keeping the carnival means so much to them, right? Because they don't really know any better. They don't really understand the meaning of it. They just looking at more of the, I don't know, the physical side of it, the politics behind it, you know. This means, do you understand what I'm saying? Not really understanding, you know, keeping carnival is to do with the worshipping of other gods, you know. It's a ritual that you're keeping by, you know, dancing around and obviously being part of all these music that they're playing. You know, this is not something that's just accidentally started happening. These are things that are being deliberately done for a reason. So it's funny. It's funny when you hear people like, you know, on one side of it, they're kind of torn. You know, this is a good thing. You know what I mean? This is bringing the community together. But at the same time, you're doing something that's affecting your spirituality. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And I think that's important because people have to. We're going to go into that. And we're going to explain to people the spiritual aspect of it, the spiritual meaning of keeping these type of celebrations, you know, and what the Bible says about these celebrations. We're going to go into that, okay? So, did you want to add anything to that, Safia?
No, I think let's get into some scripture, because you know what people are going to say, right? They're going to say, "Oh, we don't believe you. Oh, you're talking," you know. But of course, the Bible has literally spoken about exactly what we're talking about. Like we have proof in the Bible what we should do. So,
I mean, definitely 100%. Because I mean, we've already established that Carnival is a religious celebration, right? That's without doubt. That's facts, right? And this is something that is celebrated all around the world, right? And it's encouraged for everyone to take part, right?
Absolutely.
But why are they trying to encourage us to all celebrate it? What's the push behind it? Where's that energy coming from? Where's that power coming from to keep this celebration every single year to their gods? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, we're gonna go into scriptures. I'm gonna start. Did you want to go off with your scriptures, or do you want me to?
Well, we can bounce off each other, right? So I have Deuteronomy 13, which yes, I think Deuteronomy.
Let me go into I'm going to go into the book of Exodus, right? And I'm going to go to if everyone can turn their Bible to we're going to go to Exodus 20. Go to chapter 20, and we're going to go from the first verse, right? And it says from the first verse, I'll just give everyone a little bit of time to get their scriptures. All right, so it says, and God spake all these words, saying, I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other God before me. Right? So first and foremost, what's key here is that we need to establish the facts here that This is the true and living God, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. And he's talking to his people. He's saying that I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt. The only nation of people that have come out of Egypt is Israel, right? His people that had taken them out from bondage, from slavery. And he's telling them, thou shalt have no other God before me. Because you know, there's a lot of people out there that claim that there's only one God. And a lot of people use this justification to justify what they do. Because there's people out there that actually believe that it doesn't matter what they do, because there's only one God, is down to their interpretation, right? So whatever they do pertains to that God, right? But the point here is God himself is saying that there is other gods, right? There's many other gods out there, and he's telling his people they shouldn't serve those other gods because there's only one true living God. There's other gods, but there's only one true and living God. And he's telling them, look, serve me. I am the true and living God. Serve me. You see what I'm saying? So that's one key point here, right? That he's the true and living God, and there's no other God, right? So we're going to read on from four. Or did you want to add something to that, Safia? Did you want to
No,
say?
no, you can continue.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
fine.
So thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in the heavens above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the waters under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them, for I, the Lord thy God, I am a jealous God, visiting the fathers upon the children unto the third and the fourth generation of them that hate me, and shewing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. Wow, that's a big statements there. You know what I mean? The God of Israel, first and foremost, he's saying that, don't worship graven image, don't worship anything that looks, anything that, it's in that look, anything that's in the heavens, like the sun, the moon, the stars. Don't worship that. Anything on earth or in the seas, do not worship that. So he's already established that there's other gods that other nations worship, and he's explaining to his people, do not worship those. Don't follow these other nations that go around worshiping other gods. You see what I'm saying? And he's made that really clear. But I think the key thing that he's saying right there is that he's a jealous God. He's a jealous God. Why would you want to tempt God? Do you understand what I'm saying? Why would you tempt him? He's saying that he's a jealous God. Why would you tempt him?
I think that people also get confused about what worship actually is. And I think people don't, people sometimes might think that, okay, you only should, if you worship is when you go to church or when you go to a building or whatever. But people don't realize that when you are in Carnival, there are certain things you are doing in the presence of these gods that is actually worship. Like I said, like eating, sometimes even eating meat, that's still in a form of praise. You're dancing the way, come on, dance isn't a form of worship. I know better than everybody that dance is a form of worship. You are in praise of these other gods. You're dressed, if the costume company says to you, this is an Aztec goddess dress, Aztec goddess costume, and you are dancing in it, what do you think you are doing? Let's use common sense here, right? So, or the Egyptian, an Egyptian costume name. Worship, you are worshiping. Worship is an action. These actions you are carrying out when you're listening to the musicians, when they're saying to you and they're singing and they're singing. Listen to what the soca artists are saying. Some of them are actually saying and I'm not going to say the name, but the name God. Some of you will say, oh, but I don't know Creole, I don't know Patois. Well, you're singing it just fine. So there you go.
Yeah, Priest Ricardo, I know we lost you there a bit.
Yeah, sorry.
Glad to have you back. Hi, Priest Ricardo.
Good to see
Trying
you
to get
back.
rid of me.
So really,
Never.
go on if you wanted to add anything to that.
It's actually got to the bringing the scripture. Just to explain so in the days, like there's all these things what they celebrate, and let's say Carnival's one of them because it is a real big deal all around the world. But where we would, as I said, like if you're not serving the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, there is another umbrella, right? So it's only the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and then Satan. And if you're not serving the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, you are serving Satan. It's like you are captured under that umbrella. And what does that mean? That means that, you know what? All these things, all these celebrations, they could dress it up how they want because they do. They dress up Christmas, Easter, Halloween, they dress up, but it all goes under a one umbrella. Everyone said, no, but you do this and we do that. But no, if you're not serving the true and living God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, there is another umbrella. And we have to know this. So I just want to go to Leviticus because everybody runs to do these things and keep these days and these feasts and stuff like that. But we've been given, the Israelites, we've been given stuff to keep. So we shouldn't have to fall into that. But a lot of the Jacobites are just falling into that trap. They're going down that direction and everyone's getting caught up with it because they forgot their way. So let's just turn to Leviticus. I just want to just go to Leviticus 22 for a minute, just verse 31. Right. Therefore ye shall keep my commandments and do them. I am the Lord, neither shall ye profane my holy name. But I will be hollow among the children of Israel. I am the Lord which hallowed you, that brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am the Lord, to be your God, no one else. So we shouldn't fit in that category of Carnival and Christmas and Easter and all these other things just rolling around. Because he's given us his instructions. So we're going to go through now the feast. Because as Safi was talking about when they're eating the meat and the bacon, because anytime when you have a celebration, you pay homage, there's always food, right? There's dancing, there's singing. Same thing. They had to get it from somewhere, but then they keep it for their own so they could serve their gods. As Safi said, there's 100 and odd gods at one carnival and a next one, but you know what? I just said, I don't know them. I don't want to know them. I just need to know.
You don't want to know them. That's why I'm not saying the names. I don't want any of you out there saying, but Safi is it? I don't want, no.
Right, so, and I go to 23, right? And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto the children of Israel, say unto them concerning the feast of the Lord, which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocations. Even these are my feast. 6 days shall work be done, but the seventh is the Sabbath of rest, a holy convocation. Ye shall do no work therein. It is a Sabbath of the Lord in your dwellings. Yeah. These are the feasts of the Lord, even holy convocations, which ye shall proclaim in their seasons. In the 14th day of the first month at even is the Lord's Passover. Now, these will go on to say what the feast we should keep. No one's interested in these things. They don't care. They're not interested of what we have to do things properly. But as I stated, it's only for Israel. He's only given to Israel. So yes, you see people run around like headless chickens and doing all manner of things. But us Israelites, we know who we're serving. We know that, them spirits out there in the air is going to get these people walking like zombies and following that and going around that one direction. But we're going back the other direction because we're not following that crowd because we have a purpose and a direction. So we don't need to follow that. But the laws, the statutes and commandments only been given unto Israel.
Yes.
So Jesus said that keep these in the seasons. Now they have seasons, right? And it's funny because every time when we've got something, they've got something nearby.
Yeah.
Like we're
100%.
coming into the dark days. We're going to have blowing of the trumpets, which is mentioned here in verse 23. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto the children of Israel, saying, in the 7th month of the first day of the month, ye shall have a Sabbath, a memorial of the blowing of the trumpets, and holy convocation. There, like, ye shall do no severe work therein, but ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord. So it's always about the food, the feasting, right? The celebration. And this is what they do. But we have our seasons for what we're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Let us not lose track. Let us not lose focus, because the God of Israel has given us now purpose of why we're even living. So we don't have to then wait for the carnival to dress up and then to serve one of those 100 and odd gods to pay homage to them, because we're serving a true living God.
Yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. And I think, you know, when you talk about seasons, there are so many. I mean, every single month there is something else, and it is, and sometimes you do feel like it is a distraction, but also, you know, we think about the monetary benefits for the economy, and of course that's another reason why they keep it going, because actually it is so successful. Why would you want to get rid of something that is accumulating so many funds, right? So it's lucrative. People are thinking, oh, I can make so much money off of this. But then what happens when you are making money your God, right? So that is another huge a huge issue we have. Priest Ricardo, you also mentioned feasts, and you mentioned the specific dates we have. So of course we also have our Freedom Month now, August, and you know, Trinidad has February, St. Lucia has July, Guyana has May. We have, so all of these different dates.
Yeah, they have their seasons.
Yeah.
Their seasons.
And I think it's key that you said that they do have their seasons. But the one thing I've noticed that is that also that it seems that they tend to profit from everything that they do, right? Because when you look at Carnival is a big money making, machine, right? The amount of money that it makes for tourism is enormous. You understand what I'm saying? So, and then when you go to Christmas, the same for Christmas, the same for Easter. It seems that these things are constantly bringing money all the time, and it's almost like it goes back to what we were saying about. It's almost like you're encouraged to participate. You see what I'm saying? You're encouraged somehow to be part of that. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, it's a good, really good point that you made there, man. So, did you finish with your scriptures, Priest Ricardo, or did you have any more to?
Yeah, it's like there's one what I would like to just to go on as well. It's like, because where the God of Israel always says that he's taken us out of the land of Egypt. So he's taken us away from all these ways. Yes, we would have been caught up with all the madness what happened there and following their ways. And some people got stuck there, right? This is what happens now. Because we're in the land, and where the God of Israel said, when you go into the land, when you go to possess it, and you take over the land, but don't follow their ways. Don't get caught up with them. As Kwame, what you said, the God of Israel is a jealous God. So if you find that you're putting too much into this and to that or whatever, it almost becomes your God. I call it the golden calf because it's just like when we start pulling these things through that, and then here comes the calf and you say, oh, let this be the God who led the fire of Egypt, because they want to see something and be like others. So where it says in Deuteronomy 7, when the God of Israel said that he's going to bring into the land, I'm just going to read it quickly. It says, when the Lord thy God shall bring thee in the land, whether thou shalt go to possess it, and to cast out many nations before thee, the Hittites, the Girgashites, the Amorites, the Canaanites, the Perizzites, the Hittites, the Jebusites, 7 nations greater and mightier than no. And when the Lord thy God shall deliver them before thee, thou shalt smite them, utterly destroy them. Thou shalt make no covenant with them, nor show mercy unto them. And neither shall they make marriages with them. Thy daughters thou shalt not give unto his son, nor his daughters shalt thou take unto thy son, for they will turn away thy son from following me, that they may serve other gods. So will the anger of the Lord be kindled against you to destroy you suddenly. But thus shall deal with them. Ye shall destroy their altars and break down their images and cut down their groves and burn down their graven images with fire. For thou art a holy people unto the Lord thy God. For Lord thy God has chosen thee to be a special people unto himself above all people upon the face of this earth. Why is that? They don't want you to follow after these crowds and do what they're doing. Because yes, you are following other gods. You caught up with that, you're eating their food, you're sitting at the tables, you're drinking their thing, but it's all been in preparation of what they do. So yes, you are technically serving their gods. You don't want to marry their daughters and go and let your their sons marry their daughters and their daughters marry your sons and everything, because you don't want to be turned away. We only meant to be serving the true and living God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So when these things happen, what the God of Israel said, my anger will be kindled against you. Yes. Because we are the only people he's given this to. He's given us the law, statutes, and commandments. We got to teach them to our children. I mean, we just be forever going through scriptures, when it talks about, teach them to their children and their children. When you go to bed and you get up, let it be always with you, so you can walk this path. So you don't get caught up with the world and get caught up with their crap and start serving other gods. Because sometimes you speak to people, they say, no, I don't serve no other God. I don't do this, I don't do that. But technically you are. And if you're not serving the true living God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, you're falling off the track. And you do fit into that category. I'm just saying.
Right.
Right. Safia. Yes, Safia. Sorry, just bring you in there. You've got some scriptures that you want to...
Yeah, no, I had scriptures, but you guys decided to go off on your scriptures and everything. So don't worry, that's okay. I'm just gonna
come in.
It's fine. I'll come in. Don't worry. I'm gonna change out my scriptures now.
We're saving the best. We're saving the best for last. You know what I mean?
Okay, of course, as always. No, but seriously. So to riff off of what Priest Ricardo was saying, and just to kind of and of course, to relate it back to Carnival, I'm going to show you. I need to make sure I come in good now, because I need to go after Priest Ricardo. And that's a hard act to follow. Okay, so here we go. Right, so let me think now. All right, so I'm just gonna give you one verse, and that is gonna be 1 Samuel 28:13. And I'm just gonna read this one thing to you. And the king said, so I'm gonna have to, okay, so first of all, okay, so we have Saul has these desperate and futile attempts to try and cling to his throne. If you don't, okay, I'm gonna have to ask you to go back to the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries video so you can learn the story of Saul. It's a fantastic story, but I cannot go into that today, although I really, really, really want to, because when I found this scripture, I was absolutely in. Saul basically goes to find a necromancer, somebody who revives spirits out of the earth to speak to the prophet Samuel, the spirit of the prophet Samuel. So yes, so Saul has basically disguised himself to find this witch. Now let me so 1 Samuel 28:13. So let me just read that. And the king said unto her, be not afraid, for what sawest thou? And the woman said unto Saul, so the woman is a witch, basically, I saw gods ascending out of the earth. So she's literally only gone to find to call upon the spirit of Samuel, right? But what I want you to pay attention to here is that it's not one God, it's gods, as in pulling other entities out of the earth. Now, let me explain something that happens at Carnival that you may not necessarily know. Okay, so if you come from a certain villages in Barbados and maybe Haiti and maybe Trinidad and maybe Guyana and maybe Belize, you will know that there are certain things that you might do when you perform, when you do certain actions with your body, and there are certain characters when they move, they are not just calling to various people, right, around you that you can see. They're calling to the invisible and people beyond them 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 and people beyond them. That's what is happening at Carnival. You're not just calling upon the people you can see and the things and all the pretty things that you can see in the air. You're calling upon other entities that aren't even present. So when I said to you, oh, there's 670, I could, find 670 gods at Notting Hill Carnival. Yeah, how many spirits are with them? And how many more are you be calling every time you perform these actions? And even if, and I'm not saying to you that, never dance again. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying don't ever wear sequins again. I'm saying that in these settings, there are other spiritual things going on that you might not necessarily be aware of, but I promise you they're there. So we are going to speak about that, but so when it comes to Notting Hill Carnival and we think about the violence that might happen, and yes, there is violence happening in other festivals. Yes, other festivals are doing that kind of worship too. But Priest Ricardo did mention, and Kwame, they both mentioned excess. So notice how in Carnival you're never full. You have a pre-party, you have an after party, you have a side party, you have a party over here, party over there. You have men frothing at the mouth at all of the. No one's ever satisfied. In the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries, like you you feel like spiritual sustenance, right? And I kid you not, when I listen to Elder Shadow speak, I feel like yes, like when I think the Hell Face Ricardo and Elder speak, I'm like yes, like I feel good. And then you go to Carnival and you're like, oh, I need more. No, you don't feel that in Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministry. So what does that tell you? Like these gods, these spirits, they need to keep being fed. It's malicious. It's sordid. It's wrong. If that doesn't prove, I don't know what else to say to you. That point, I'm not done, but that point is very much done. Okay, I'm handing it over to the guys now. I hope I did you proud. There we go.
Very, very proud, very proud. I must add in there real quick that what you're saying is like, even with the spirits where we get the lessons and stuff and we get the teachings, and I must thank our elder Shadrach, because if it weren't for him, like I'm telling you, this Bible's been around for years. Even it's been in our hands for years, and we've been brought up in all different ways and stuff like that. But where elder Shadrach's held into this and taught us this, so we could even understand, because how would they ever understand about these spiritual things? Yeah. A lot of people don't understand. But Elder Shadrach, he's still teaching us and he's still showing us the way. We would have never understood this. Now we could understand. Now we could move forward with our life and understand his thing. And as you said, Safia, when he's teaching, it's like, wow, even the Supreme Council, like with Elder Andrew speaking, and like all the priests and stuff like that, it's like they're giving you this energy. This energy is to make you feel, oh, wow, this is great. That is real food, man. That is real food. Because you're getting the truth. But some people don't want to hear the truth. They don't want to hear it. They like to hear the lie and, to be encouraged by these other spirits and these other gods. Yeah, but we get filled with the spirit and we feel good, man, because it's the true one we get.
It's the truth, exactly. 100%. 100% Priest Ricardo. And I think you said something that was really, really important, that a lot of people out there feel that, they're serving like God. They feel they're serving the true and living God. But you know what? There's no one that comes any close, as you said about our elder. This Bible's been around for many, many years. And No one ever understood the things that
No.
our elder has revealed to us. You know what I mean? To understand the Bible, to know the God. Now we can see the God that's in this book and the things that he's saying for us, you know, that he's saying that these things are for our own benefit, to keep his laws, his statutes, and commandment. Because at the end of the day, God is the reason why, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob is the reason why we're all here. He created all things, and not just created things for the sake of creating things. He created everything for a purpose. You know, the sun has a purpose of what it does, the star, the moon, and so forth. He created man to serve him and only him, not to serve wooden or gold calf, or and worship these spirits in carnival where people go and participate in it and feel that they're having a great time and they had a good day, but not knowing that they've just been to a church service. You know, they've just been to a service where there's been a ritual and there's been, you know, bloodshedding, and there's been, you know, music, and, you know, you've just been to a church service and you have no idea. You just feel like you just gone out and had a great time, but not knowing you're participating in serving other gods, where the God of Israel, the God of Abraham, God of Isaac, and Jacob can only be found here in the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministry. So, guys, if you need to know more, come to us. Go to our website, www.israelitenation or israelitenation.com. We'll teach you more, man. Even we've got there's a link. There's a link below. You can click the link and we will get straight back to you. So I'm gonna take this. Safia, I'm just gonna ask you, did you have any more scriptures to say, or?
Yeah, I do. I have I was going to do I have Ephesians as well.
I can read it for you if you want, just to make things a little bit easier for you.
No, I've got it right here. It's okay. No, I've got it right here. We are good. I am good to go. I was so looking forward to this lesson. I have my scriptures ready, guys. You see, no, absolutely. When you come to Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries, you get really excited about everything. So you just go boom, 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 boom. Like I go like Ricardo's laughing because he knows I'm actually like, what? I'm so ready. Let's go. Like, I want another lesson like right now. Like, you crazy. Like, I'm good.
Safia was ready before she was even asked.
I was so ready. Oh gosh, what's the next lesson? I got a lesson every so often. What's that? Oh, how can I? And that's it. You know, you get it. What I love about Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries is that all the things we used to see before, you know, so something that seemed as natural as carnival, when you start putting scriptures to that, you start seeing things in a new light. And of course, that is at what we are trying to do every Friday to the weekend. You know, we're just trying to help illuminate the world in a beautiful new light. So that's actually what this is about. So Ephesians 6 10, I'm going to read from 10 to 13. And I'm going to be talking about armor, like the armor of God, and costumes, and you know, all the fancy dancy things that you might see it. So hopefully we will have gone through all of the elements of carnival as well. So we've talked briefly on the music and most importantly the spiritual side. But let's go into this. Ephesians 6 10 to 13. Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Wherefore take unto you the whole armor of God, and ye may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all, to stand. And I love this. Like, you can even hear it in my voice. Like, it's poetry. Those of you know I love poetry. Like, this is such a beautiful, wonderful scripture. And I want to just note that when you do see these things, when you do see Carnival and you see like you know, what does the lie look like? What does this look like? Why is it that lies always have to be dressed in pomp and pageantry? Why does it have to be, you know, why do we have to have so much, you know, we have all of these. So when Kwame was talking about the different things that you see in Carnival, and you see all of these, you know, crude things happening, the lie is dressed up in so much, like there's layers upon layers upon layers upon layers. But the truth is dressed in wisdom. The truth is dressed in understanding. The truth is dressed in the fear of God. The truth is dressed in knowledge. It is beautiful. There is purity to it. There is no contradiction there. So you can, you know, this is something that you can feel and not just see. Yes, so we're talking about like looking at things through a new set of eyes. So what does it mean to truly wear the armor of God? What does it mean to serve the true and living God? What does it mean to fortify yourself? And how can you do that if your armor is corrupted with all of these other things, where there are chinks in your armor, literally? You know, are you gonna like literally, like metaphorically open it to put sequins and feathers in? It doesn't work like that. That makes no sense. So there we go.
Could I add to that, Safi, as well? That because even when they had the Supreme Council and everything was doing the lesson, and the Elder Shadrach actually mentioned that about Ephesians 6 and about putting the whole armor of God. And at this stage here, you would have just read that, and it's the same way where Elder Shadrach would have said that, and you would have probably got a lot of people saying Amen. And the reason why they'll say Amen, because they feel that armor of God is for them. You can't put on the armor of God if you don't even know what God. You got to remember.
Right? Okay.
How could you say you know, amen and things? But this scripture, as I read already, that it was given unto Israel, it said to go to Moses, go unto the children of Israel. These are my people. I will make you hallowed.
Right.
You know, I would.
Right.
You know, I am your God. But how could you put on that armor and you don't even serve him? So what armor are you aiming to? It can't be to our armor unless you're an Israelite. Yeah, that is the armor what he's talking about, because the devil doesn't want who he's got already. So I don't know. Yeah,
Absolutely.
he's got you already, so he doesn't want you. You know, he's not gonna even bother you. You're gonna be, you know, jumping up and down, all that. He doesn't want you. He wants the ones who doesn't want him. You know what I mean? But that armor is the Israelite armor. That's the putting on the armor of God, because that's only then you're gonna know who this God is. Thank you, Elder Shadrach.
Yes, thank you.
And to be able to do that, you have to be taught. Only an Israelite can teach you this.
There you go.
Because as we've said already in the scriptures, this information was never given to the world. Because every time you heard when I read Exodus 20, God was talking to the children that he brought out of the land of Egypt, out of captivity. He was talking to Israel. He wasn't talking to the world. So this information of him being the true and living God, right? Telling his people not to serve other gods wasn't given to the world. So you're not going to know this unless you come to us, come to the children of Israel, right? Come to the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministry. We will teach you. We're more than happy to teach you the truth and teach you the scriptures. You see what I'm saying? So,
and also,
guys, yeah, go on.
Sorry, just a real quick as well. What Safi said as well. Like when you're talking about the scriptures, yes, make sure you tune in to the lessons, because even what we're talking about here covering is being covered, and it's been repeated and repeated and repeated, and it's there every single week. So even what the subject matter we're talking about, yes, you could find a lot of scriptures and a lot of lessons based on that. So just go back, subscribe to the YouTube channels and everything will come up with you, and then you won't miss out. You know what I mean? So I advise you to definitely subscribe and like and share, so you know the world would know, and you know that everyone could get this truth and be happy. Then you'll be filled with real food. So I just thought I'd just add that.
Yeah, for sure.
So obviously we've established that, you know, going to Carnival is pertains to serving another god, right? But the God that you're serving is not the God that's in this book. It's not God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, right? Because he's already told you that, you know, his people is Israel. So he's not speaking to the world anyway, like I've said anyway. But we've established that the, you know, carnival is a ritual, right? That's taking place. When you're participating in carnival, you are in a live service, and there's spiritual things happening behind the scenes that you may not know about, as Safia spoke about, you know. And we you know, we are always only looking at the fun elements of carnival, right? So we're gonna play a video to kind of explain to you what carnival, or let's say what God you're serving, because obviously we know that carnival it is a religious event, and we know that it is a worship of serving a God. But what God are you serving? I mean, a lot of people will claim they're serving, or may claim they're serving the true and living God. So, producer, can you play the second video, please?
Okay, so I think I'm gonna have to be your narrator, but again, it was probably a man narrating. So I'm joking. No, it probably was a really boring person. So that's why you have me. That's why it's silent, because obviously we don't want to bore you. So, all right, I'm gonna try my best to narrate. Yes. Okay, so we have Bacchus, the god of wine. Bacchus was the god of wine, the god of fertility, the god of the banquet. Okay, so let's pause here. Actually, I'm gonna tell you, let's pause. Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna add, because the historians don't really know what they're doing. So I'm just gonna, I'm just gonna add to this first part. Okay, so the god of wine, the god of fertility. With these gods, you wouldn't just serve one, so you would serve multiple gods at the same time. So there were several gods of fertility, but you also so you would also make sure, so if you were given an offering, you would usually give an offering to several at the same time. So remember when we were talking before about what is actually going on at the carnival? Bacchus, these gods never worked alone. They never worked alone, right? So let's go back to the video. And of course, it is also a Roman god as well. You can see grapes in his hair. Yes, because Bacchus was also the god of agriculture. So remember, we have harvest. Isn't that interesting? We have harvest, we have different seasons, we have the blowing of the trumpet. Do you see how interesting that is? That they use the god of harvest, and so that's really interesting. That harvest is in that as well. Let's play. You see, I'm trying to make this as fun for you as possible. Oh, okay. Grapes in his hair. Well, that is ridiculous. I'm sure Elder Shadwell will call that stupid. So I'm gonna say it's stupid. We don't need that. Panther, because it came from an exotic god. Okay, let's pause right there. Yes. Okay, so animals. We've spoken about the behavior at Carnival. There is this encouragement for people to literally behave like animals. Now let's go back to this contradiction about how regarding how Black people have often been called animals. We've been treated like dogs, being literally chained, and then you're being asked to behave like an animal. Does that make sense to you? Okay, cool. All right, so let's it's a 2-minute video, so I'm gonna now keep narrating till the end because we do not have that much time. Okay, and of course the statue, and so the statue is, first of all, the statue isn't even that good. I mean, it's a really strange that I'm being so mean right now. Okay. All right. Pompeii was built on the wine industry. Okay, so the gods would usually be based around the areas. Yes. So the reason why there are so many gods is because it's just so easy for people to create shrines and create altars. If we now have gods of carnival, we have a god of rum, we have a god of sequins, we have a god of feathers, there's probably a god of Ladbroke Grove. I don't know, like a place in London. Yes. So there you go. There's some more stuff on the gods. Let's keep going. Kwame, let me know how much you want to know about this god. We can go all day. They are all ridiculous. In fact, that's what we could do. We could talk about the complete opposites of the God of Israel. So wine, lots of drinking of wine. Yeah.
What's the meaning? What's the thing? Because I mean, that's one of the requirements at Carnival, right? You have to drink. You have to drink alcohol.
Yeah.
So he's the god of wine, right?
Right.
So by them participating and by them drinking, they're paying homage to this god because he's the god of wine, right?
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So they're paying homage because it's all part of that ritual of serving that god. You see what I'm saying? And like it goes back to what I said before, the greatest commandment there is to serve God and serve no other God, right? So by you serving other gods, well, I mean, obviously that's you serving other gods right there, the god of wine. It doesn't even make sense.
Right.
You know what I mean? The god of wine, you know?
Right. And we know to abstain from wine during holy times. We know this. We know that we can't be drinking alcohol, and there were several things that we shouldn't be doing, which like you said, Kwame, are actually encouraged to be done at Carnival.
Yes.
Priest Ricardo, would you like
to? That's a great point you made there. 100%. Like holy times, we obviously don't drink, but obviously they're completely doing the opposite of what we're doing, right? So
it's like as I said, like we're in Leviticus where he said about these are our holy days and the feast times and everything. You as Saki said, you keep away from these things, And when you start looking at the god of wine, just imagine those wine lovers. You hear about the god of wine and thinking, wow, you get fascinated. And I'm sure they probably saw this god and thinking, wow, he's the god of wine. Wow. And then next minute you're worshiping him because you think he's another man. You just come along and then he just claim, like, wow, man. It just goes to show there could be so many. There's so many gods out there. When the God of Israel, he said, "Thou shalt not have any other gods," because the God of Israel knew there was other gods. It doesn't mean they're anything, but it just shows that there is other gods, and they was serving loads of gods in Egypt, and they're still serving a lot of gods now. There's loads of them, but they're all dead. They can't do nothing. Some people go as far as making their own god.
Literally.
Worship. And they put it on their mantelpiece and everything. But there's only one true and living God, and that's the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. So that's the only true and living God. So all these fake gods and these God of wine and the God of dresses and donkeys and cats and animals and all that. Like, because you said, Safi, like, they dress up like that. Look at the costumes they wear. And then the movement and then trances, and they're just like, wow, man, they have to get that carnival spirit. And they will blatantly say that.
Literally the carnival spirit. You're taking on that spirit, taking on the spirit of excess and revelry. And it's not to say, I think people, just in case people do feel that we're saying you cannot have fun, that's not what we're saying. It's the context of how you're having fun. Like I said, if you're dancing and drinking alcohol and there's literally someone singing about a god of alcohol and there's a person dressed as a devil next to you, you're not like, come on, like that don't, like, come on, like, it's the context, right? Like, yeah.
It's because like you said, I mean, it's not something we would do, like, on our service or our holy day. We wouldn't consume alcohol. Do you see what I'm saying? So the fact that they're encouraging people, like what Priest Ricardo was saying, people will look at that and say, "Oh, there's a god of wine? Wow, this is true."
Respect. You're thinking, wow, this is
there's even
they're gonna get excited, man. They're like, you know what? there's a God of wine, man. Oh wow, okay, this God is good, man. I like this God, you know. There's a God of wine, you know. You're gonna like, it's almost like you're being encouraged to do that. But anyway, guys, I hope you guys really enjoy our lesson today, the subject matter, the topic, and you understand the scriptures that we basically read out to you guys. Well, our message really to you is that there's only one true and living God, the God of Abraham, God of Isaac, and God of Jacob, and He lives. He's a true and living God, right? And He's here at the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministry. If you want to know more, you can see our website there. There's a link below. Click the link, and we will get straight back to you. But thank you for your time, and once again, peace.
Peace.
Peace.